Next on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
We'll take a look back at some of our favorite stories from the 2015 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show in San Antonio, Texas.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. The Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show is a one-of-a-kind environment for cattle industry members to come together to network, create policy for the industry, and to have some fun. Today, we're going to show you some of our favorite stories from the record-breaking 2015 convention in San Antonio. Let's have a look. One highlight of the week is the chance to visit the Riverwalk during your free time. Reporter Russell Nemitz has more on this cultural hotspot.
Although the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show offers many great things to see and do, sometimes you need a change of scenery. Well, just a few steps away from the convention center and hotels is San Antonio's famous Riverwalk, a pedestrian walkway along the banks of the San Antonio River that is lined by bars, shops, and restaurants.
It's a level below the street, so you walk down the stairs from the center of a large urban core, and you walk downstairs and you're transformed into this ambiance that you're like, I can't believe we're in the middle of a city. It's tropical, it's lush, it's romantic, it's peaceful. You can experience everything you want. You can go for a walk, you can sit on a bench and do great people watching or just enjoy the nature around you. You can go to great restaurants, you stay at a hotel, walk out of your hotel, you're right on the Riverwalk. You can go for a drink, you can go for happy hour. It's just a wonderful place.
With more than 15 miles of sidewalks and paths, the Riverwalk is the longest linear park in America and one of the most dynamic tourist attractions in the entire state of Texas. Because of the dozens of high-quality clubs and restaurants, it's sometimes easy to forget that you're walking alongside an actual river.
This is a natural river. People think that it's a ditch that we carved out. No, it's a natural river. And in the 1920s, there was a horrendous flood in San Antonio, and there was $50 million worth of damage, and several people lost their lives. So they almost paved over the river for flood control. And there was a group of citizens that said, no, this could be a treasure. But at that time, all these buildings that you see, the river was their back door. It wasn't their front door. And through the genius of Robert Hugman, who was the architect that the city hired to turn this into the place it is, we now have the Riverwalk instead of a concrete underground channel where we drain the flood water off. So we were very fortunate that there were people like that were visionary at that time.
Even though most people associate February with cold and snow, this is actually the perfect time to visit San Antonio.
February is a great time to come. It's beautiful weather. We can actually have days up in the 90s in February. I hope that that's what the weather that they get. It could be 40-ish, but for a lot of places, 40 in February is pretty good.
Just remember, even if we see temperatures in the 90s, you really shouldn't think about jumping in the water to cool off.
There are people that end up in the river, but it's generally because they've had a few too many cocktails and they think that would be really fun to jump in, and then they realize it's really not very much fun. People do fall in on purpose. But if you do, it is a $250 fine, so I would suggest that you maybe not decide to do that.
So when cattle industry members need a break from meetings and the trade show, they'll find the Riverwalk offers an oasis of fun and excitement.
My advice to the cattlemen coming to the Riverwalk to just enjoy as many different kinds of restaurants as you can. Generally speaking, if you have a large party of 8 or more, you should call ahead to make reservations. February is not a terribly crowded month on the Riverwalk, so you probably, with smaller groups, you'd probably be able to get into any place that you wanted to go. But be sure to have some time to relax and enjoy it at all different times of the day, because it is a different atmosphere in the morning versus at 11 o'clock at night when the music's happening and everything's going on. So just enjoy and take your time and be sure to spend lots of time on the river.
Reporting from San Antonio, Texas, I'm Russell Nemitz for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
The Cattle Facts Outlook session is always one of the highlights of the annual Cattle Industry Convention. This year, a packed room gained some insight into what lies ahead in the markets for 2015. Let's take a look and find out what's in store.
2014's cattle market was one to remember, but according to the experts at Cattle Facts, it may be one that cattle producers won't see again for a very long time, if ever.
The markets are going through some adjustment now, but that's really no surprise. You know, we had a perfect storm in 2014. We had a 4-pound drop in per capita meat and poultry consumption in the U.S., and that's really what spurred these markets all to record high prices. And now you're seeing pork production increase, poultry production increase, and that's going to offset a slightly smaller beef production level in 15. So an adjustment, markets are still going to be very strong, but it won't be one-sided like it was in 2014. That doesn't mean we won't be profitable. We can still be very profitable. We just have to approach it a bit differently.
Still, at the Cattle Facts Outlook session, there were plenty of reasons for cattlemen and women to be optimistic. Analysts told the capacity crowd to expect fed cattle prices averaging in the mid-150s, which is slightly higher than last year, with a range from the 140s at the lows to near 170 at the highs. A lot of this is thanks to record high beef demand, and U.S. beef exports could set new highs in 2015.
It's incredible to see the growth that we've seen in the value of these beef and beef byproduct exports. Since 2003, the value to each and every animal in our inventory is $175 a head. 2014, it's $352 a head. We're growing at the rate of 6% a year, so that's a great story. And the markets are differentiating. They're wanting more and more of U.S. products. So I think that's a huge opportunity for producers as we look at the next 2 decades.
Another factor that might influence beef demand is the recent decline in fuel prices. Not only does it provide some relief when it comes to input costs, lower fuel prices also means more disposable income for consumers to purchase beef.
You look at it on a per driver basis, there's as much as $500 to $600 more per person disposable income. So we should see that play out in the food service side here over the course of 2015. I think that'll be a real positive in helping stabilize our beef demand.
Even if the market highs for beef cattle are already passed, you can expect price volatility to be an issue throughout the year.
These swings are incredibly wild. You know, we're seeing $8 to $15 hundred swings every 2 weeks in this market as we go through this adjustment. This has been going on for 6 months. I don't see it changing any time over the next 6 months. So as you look forward in here, producers are going to have to really put the risk management hat on. When there's a margin out there, they got to capture it.
Things are going to be, a little up and down, but fairly good for the next few years. I think it's a good reminder he's got that we got to keep an eye on our costs. Don't let our production costs creep up on us, take all our profits away.
Although cow-calf producers will remain in the driver's seat for the year ahead, Block added that growing supplies of cattle and beef over the next few years would go a long ways towards normalizing prices.
That's what we need to do. We need to stabilize our herd. If we're going to stay in the middle of the plate or in the center of the plate as an industry, we got to grow. We have to respond to this economic signal, and we're doing that.
Reporting from San Antonio, Texas, I'm Brad Bulla for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Still to come on this special edition of Cattleman to Cattleman, more of our favorite stories from the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show in beautiful San Antonio. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You are watching NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman on RFD TV. Sure, cattle bring in the profits, but Case IH equipment helps you do everything else.
Have you discovered self-deworming cattle products? All the benefits of an effective deworming without all the labor, handling, and stress. Discover Safeguard self-deworming cattle products, ask your local animal health provider, or visit safeguardcattle.com for more information.
Sure, cattle bring in the profits, but Case IH equipment helps you do everything else. Set sail for San Diego and the 2016 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. It's the cattle industry's biggest convention with education, networking, and fun that can't be beat. Plus, you can check out the huge NCBA Trade Show, and there will be a special event held on the historic USS Midway. It's the 2016 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, January 27th through 29th in San Diego. Visit beefusa.org for more.
Welcome back. Cattle producers will no doubt be on the lookout for Texas-sized adventures while here in San Antonio. Reporter Brian Baxter has a closer look at the Buckhorn Saloon and Museum, a must-see attraction while you're here in San Antonio.
All it takes is one look at Texas Bob Reinhardt to realize the Buckhorn Saloon is not your typical watering hole. More than 130 years old, this historic bar and museum is located right in the heart of San Antonio. It was started by a young entrepreneur who had the brilliant idea to accept horns and antlers in exchange for free beer or whiskey from his saloon.
Well, the Buckhorn Saloon was established in 1881 by Albert Frederick. He was a 17-year-old bartender and bellhop at the old Southern Hotel on Main Plaza. In 1881, he decided to open his own saloon across the street, called it the Buckhorn. He was a hunter himself, so he brought some of his own trophies in to decorate with. Then his friends would come in and say, I've got a bigger rack than I had at home. He said, bring it in, I'll hang it up. Then he collected trophies for years from big game hunters, donated. He'd buy trophies he liked, he'd take them and trade if people owed him money.
We also have a cafe on site that's open for lunch every day from 11 to 3, a wonderful gift shop, and as you can see right behind me, a saloon. And that is the original back bar that was opened in 1881. It's made of cherry wood and marble columns, and that's the original mirror from 1881 as well.
Over the years, San Antonio's most popular saloon has welcomed famous Americans such as Teddy Roosevelt and Will Rogers. They all came to get a look at one of the world's largest and most unique collections of horns, antlers, and animals. The exhibit halls showcase over 520 species of wildlife, many of which are record holders.
Well, one of the icons is right behind me here, Old Tex. At one time, he was the world record longhorn steer. His horns measure 8 feet, 1 1/4 inches from tip to tip. When he was on display in the saloon back at the turn of the last century, every night when Albert closed up shop, he detached the horns and locked them in his safe.
There's a story behind every animal that we have here on display. In fact, we have a gorilla upstairs in the African room, and you'll notice that he has no hair on his chest. Well, in the old days, he was in the front area of the Buckhorn, and people would come by and rub his chest, so all the hair, came off of his chest. And we just have stories like that throughout the entire museum, and it's just something for everybody, I think, all ages.
Also at the Buckhorn is the Texas Ranger Museum, which houses hundreds of Ranger artifacts, including weapons, badges, photographs, and more.
They were the first law enforcement organization in Texas, started in 1823. At that time, I think there were 8 or 10 Rangers initially to protect the settlers. and now they're maybe 125 or so. They're kind of like the FBI of Texas, if you will. They have jurisdiction in any county. They help local law enforcement solve the bigger cases. The collection we have on display in the Ranger Museum belongs to the former Texas Rangers Association, and we augmented that by building a kind of a recreation of old San Antonio inside. We have a blacksmith shop. We have the original Buckhorn Saloon in there from 1881. We've got a dentist office, a barber shop, a jailhouse, and a reproduction of Bonnie and Clyde's car because the Texas Rangers brought down Bonnie and Clyde in Louisiana.
The Buckhorn Saloon and Museum has always been known as a gathering place for good conversation, food, drink, and spectacular wildlife, something members of the cattle industry are sure to appreciate.
Please come and visit. We have horns from all over the world, antlers, all sorts of critters, and it's going to be right up your alley. You know, all of the staff here we're just like a big family, and everybody has a big personality, and it's a just really fun place to work, a fun place to visit. So we are a historic Texas treasure and a real sight to see if you're visiting San Antonio.
Reporting from San Antonio, Texas, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
There are a number of great things to see and do at the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, and one of the most popular events is always Cattlemen's College. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Matt Fleck takes a closer look at this event and why it's such a big hit among cattle producers.
It takes knowledge and skill to raise quality cattle. That's why each year hundreds of beef producers make it a priority to take part in Cattlemen's College. The event, which is sponsored by Zoetis, is designed to educate producers on progressive ranching practices.
These are the top speakers and industry guys in the nation. These guys have a kind of a feel for what's going on. And
22 years ago, we started our sponsorship of Cattlemen's College, and we're very proud of our involvement over these years. We believe that an educated producer makes better decisions, and ultimately they make better decisions. It's good for us and it's good for them.
The event saw outstanding attendance with more than 1,300 participants. Hands-on cattle demonstrations kick things off Tuesday night, highlighting how beef producers can add value to their market cows. It was also an opportunity for the students to learn more about the many different cuts of beef.
I think one of the things that really set me back last night was our producers were just so enthralled. I didn't know that's where the baseball steak came from. I didn't know that's where a tri-tip came from, or rib steak or that. And so they were really interested in what the cuts of meat were and where they came from on the body. And so we thought it was a home run on helping our ranchers understand where the different cuts of meats are.
Cattlemen's College continued the next morning with a wide range of informative workshops designed for cattle operations of every size and sector. Classes ranged from generational transfer in ranching to grazing management and the future use of antibiotics in food animals.
Working with the NCBA, we designed the curriculum at the National Cattlemen's College to reflect the needs of the producer, so always topical and always educational.
The event wrapped up with a special lunch session hosted by Max Armstrong. The longtime farm journalist shared his thoughts on the value of a program like Cattlemen's College and how it helps to give cattlemen and women ideas to implement back home on their own operations.
The idea is, for one thing, to get people charged up a little bit. So when they go back to the ranch, they've got a new perspective on things. You'll learn from being around other farmers and ranchers at a meeting like this. You're standing in the hallway, perhaps you're sitting and having a beverage, and maybe there's another operator who's dealing with a challenge that you haven't yet, but you know it's coming your way. Well, how did they deal with that in their local community? You don't have to reinvent the wheel sometimes because you can, if you will, steal a good idea from somebody else.
In addition to the educational aspects, there's also tremendous value in the interaction between producers. Cattlemen's College is a great opportunity to hear firsthand how other ranchers across the country are managing their operations.
I think that's what you need. If you don't get out and hear what everybody else is doing in the world, you kind of get in your own little shell, and there's no place better than to come to this convention and meet progressive people from all over the United States and visit with them and rub shoulders and see what they're doing and what they're thinking, and then kind of go home and get rejuvenated and start looking forward to coming back next year.
It doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, there's something for everyone at Cattlemen's College.
I've taught at the university for 35 years. I don't think I've ever seen producers as hungry for information as I've seen in the last couple of years.
If I wouldn't come here and go to Cattlemen's College, I'd almost feel like I'm out of touch in the industry. They put together such a great line of speakers, and if there's only one place I could go every year, it'd be to this convention.
Reporting from San Antonio, Texas, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
I have never wanted to do anything other than be in the cattle business. We use Triangle on the cows because it's been safe and effective and it's done us a good job. We're asking these cows to do more, so that has been a change. We have had just phenomenal results. We have very, very little loss. 100% of our cattle get vaccinated with Triangle.
New Holland is the undisputed leader in hay tools. We give farmers a wide range of innovative equipment that increases efficiency and productivity all year round. Because to us, smart means providing a smooth, clean cut with faster dry down, plug-free conditioning, and superior bale density. And smart means leaving less hay on the field to feed more livestock in less time. The gold standard has been raised. Visit nhfirstcut.com for a chance to win a 1-year round baler lease.
There are many great reasons to join NCBA, and that includes exclusive NCBA member discounts and benefits from some outstanding companies.
Hi, this is Kerry Bastine, president of Roper Apparel and Footwear, Stetson Apparel Boots, and Tin Hall. We are very proud sponsors of the NCBA, and for all new members signing up with the NCBA, you get 50% off your first purchase, and for all Go Forward members, you get 25% off 4 times a year. Go to urbanwesternwear.com, click on the NCBA specials, use your coupon code for your first 50% off, and come back to Urban Western Wear all year long and use your 25% coupons that you'll find in the National Cattlemen's newspaper.
Big discounts on boots, clothing, and Western apparel is just one of the many amazing deals you get as an NCBA member. Don't miss out. Join NCBA today and enjoy these exclusive member discounts. Find out more at beefusa.org.
Welcome back to San Antonio. The art, tradition, and culture of the American West is like none other. And there's a new museum in San Antonio that would be a great stop for anyone in town for the Cattle Industry Convention. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Sharon Alseth takes us inside the Briscoe Western Art Museum.
Well, I think what we do here that's really special is to show that the American West is still alive and thriving. It's not just about history. While we have a lot of artifacts, even things that date back to the Alamo, Spanish colonial works, we also have a lot of contemporary paintings.
The building that opened as San Antonio's first central library back in 1930 is now home to the Briscoe Western Art Museum. The Art Deco neoclassical building houses art and artifacts not only representing the history of Texas, but that of cattle country and the great American West.
You know, San Antonio is one of the most iconic cities of the American West. Of course, everyone knows about the Battle of the Alamo, and the Alamo is just a couple blocks away from here. So there's really no better place for this museum. And even being right on the Riverwalk, on the San Antonio River, we're right next to one of the oldest known crossings. So literally thousands of cattle crossed right here by the museum. So there's a lot of history in this location.
The museum houses both original and replica pieces dating back to the mid-1800s. Popular exhibits throughout the 9 galleries include a recreation of the Battle of the Alamo and an authentic reproduction of a Wells Fargo stagecoach, as well as oil paintings, clothing, and more from the American West.
Yes, so right behind me is an authentic chug wagon by John Deere. It was owned by someone here in town who used to be or still is a champion chuck wagon cook. And in this gallery, it's the Governor Dolph Briscoe Jr. Gallery. The theme here is work, And so we've got the chuck wagon. You may hear the sounds behind me of a windmill that came from a ranch in New Mexico, and then other paintings that evoke work, and then also firearms, saddles, that type of thing.
There's also a beautiful sculpture garden that's perfect for enjoying the San Antonio weather, and an entire exhibit that focuses on saddles and spurs.
Just in this adjacent gallery is our San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo Saddles and Spurs Gallery, and we have 2 large cases, one that exhibits over 100 spurs, and then right across from it, one that exhibits different saddles, and including Pancho Villa's last known saddle that's in that gallery. There's so many great pieces. In the gallery next to us is the Enrique and Lydia Guerra and Family Gallery. He's a collector of the finest Spanish colonial Mexican pieces, and there's a saddle in that gallery from the 17th century that is a Spanish saddle. It's actually embroidered silk. I mean, you'll never see anything like it here in the New World, as they say, so you'd have to go to Spain to see something like that. It's a really extraordinary piece.
So saddle up and consider a visit to the Briscoe Western Art Museum. Reporting from San Antonio, Texas, I'm Sharon Alseth for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Stay with us. We'll have more right after this.
Overcoming adversity is part of the job, and loyalty isn't a word you just use, especially when everything is on the line. You've had good times and stood strong in leaner years. We've always been right there with you. Introducing the John Deere Livestock Loyalty Program. Special savings is our way of saying thanks for investing in John Deere.
This is yours, and so is what grows there. Not theirs or theirs, yours. You need this to fight this and this to grow more this. Because the more of this you feed them, the less this you spend on that, which leaves more of this here. Don't let them take this from you. Chaparral takes care of weeds and brush, and that's that.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for NCBA members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. From Capitol Hill to the far side of cattle country, the National Cattleman provides information NCBA members need. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
One group that's happy the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show is here in San Antonio is the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Russell Nemitz gives us a closer look at TSCRA's Special Rangers and how they work to protect the interest of members of the cattle industry.
It may look like a simple blue sign posted on a ranch gate, but it's actually a warning to would-be thieves. Don't mess with this operation. That's because members of the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association can call on Special Rangers to help protect their land and livestock.
I'm commissioned by the Texas Department of Public Safety as a ranger, but I work for the Texas Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association, and that history spans a long time, from the time that the association employed rangers for that association. We've been around for, what is it now, 137 years. That's a long time. That is a legacy, it definitely is, of taking care of our producers, the members of the association.
Special Ranger Max Hartman is based in Fredericksburg, Texas. Besides covering the 8 counties in his own district, he supervises rangers in an area that covers 54 counties in West Texas, stretching all the way to El Paso. He says each ranger has been trained in law enforcement and has in-depth knowledge of the cattle business, making them a true asset to fighting crime.
We have apprehended individuals in cattle thefts that have made the statement that we will stay away from a piece of property where we see that blue and white sign. because that guy's a member, and we know that there are special rangers involved in apprehension, and we stay away from there. We have a tendency to stay away from a piece of property that has that sign.
Each year, the 30 peace officers who serve as TSCRA Special Rangers investigate around 1,000 agricultural crime cases, and they recover an average of $5 million in stolen cattle and assets for ranchers. This effort is not funded with a single cent of taxpayer money. Instead, TSCRA membership dues provide the funds for ranger salaries, equipment, and training. Despite this arrangement, Special Rangers work for the benefit of the whole cattle industry.
A lot of people think that the Texas Rangers work just for the Cattle Raisers Association. In other words, if you don't have a blue sign outside your gate, that you're not going to get us to help you. But that's an untruth. We work closely with all of our sheriff's departments throughout the state, and Texas and Oklahoma, and we receive a lot of calls from our sheriff's departments on stolen livestock, stolen equipment. And it's not necessarily just cattle, it's sheep and goats, because a lot of our members run sheep and goats. So we work for members and non-members alike. But most of those people that are non-members, after we do a job for them, they join the association.
These days, the theft of cattle and ranch equipment is on the rise in Texas and Oklahoma, and Special Rangers are in the forefront of the fight. Special Ranger Max Hartman says rustling is not just a crime of opportunity done at night by someone who isn't organized. He says thieves will study a rancher's routines and often load out cattle in broad daylight.
We have a lot of areas there where they just call them into a pen with a sack of feed. And so consequently, when a set of pens is close to the road, it's inviting for a thief, especially if he sees the habits of a landowner. When he's coming to check his cattle, he knows when he's there, he knows when he's not there. And it's easy to call them into a pen, and you can load 4 or 5 calves or a couple of cows, anything in no time at all. You go out here and you start stealing a man's cows, that's his factory. You know, once you lose the factory, you can't make a living. In the cattle market, now we all know, you know, yearling calves running from $1,300 to $1,700 per head. And mother cows, if they're young cows and they're bred cows, you know, you're talking $2,400 a head. You know, that's a lot of money to these landowners.
Unfortunately, some of those stolen or missing animals are not branded. Many cattle thefts are solved and thieves apprehended through the use of TSCRA's brand inspection program and database.
Our market inspectors / brand inspectors are stationed at a specific auction. For instance, Fredericksburg, I have one man that works that sale barn, and he's there primarily to inspect all the cattle that come in, document earmarks and brands, colors, and everything that's involved in the identification of cattle. We have a brand database that we have access to. All of our brands are coded, numerically coded, and with letters also. And if you can code out a brand, we can send that through our computers to Cattle Raisers headquarters and get a hit on that brand right away. But if I was going to pick one thing that's more important than anything, is branding your cattle. You've got to brand your cattle in order to be able to expect us to retrieve those animals, because it's a license plate on an animal is what it is.
Over the years, TSCRA has gained worldwide respect through the vigilance of its Special Rangers, who are committed to honoring and protecting the ranching way of life.
You can't work with a better group of people than ranchers. You know, they appreciate what you're doing. That's probably one thing about our profession, is that you're appreciated by the people, and they respect you, and they call on you when they need you. And that's probably going to be one of the hardest things for me whenever it's time to retire, is to walking away from these people that I feel obligated to.
Reporting from the Texas Hill Country, I'm Russell Nimitz for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
If you'd like to be involved in the effort to move forward on a wide range of policy issues that impact the business of beef cattle producers, why not join NCBA today? To find out more and to learn about all the exclusive benefits of being an NCBA member, just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit the website beefusa.org. We're back right after this.
Some call it a come from behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune. The feeling of snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment.
Are you going to do this every time we treat a calf with Zuprevo?
Absolutely.
Well, all right then.
Don't let BRD interfere with his performance. Treat it with Zuprevo and get him back to his home pen. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for Merck Animal Health.
No storm is too powerful for new Purina Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, formulated with ultimate weather resistance. That means more minerals in the feeder and available to your cattle. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals provide more consistent intake and balanced mineral nutrition to optimize herd health and breedback rates. See the difference at your local Purina dealer or visit cattlenutrition.com. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, another way Purina is building better cattle.
There are plenty of things to see and do in San Antonio if you can pull yourself away from the convention and trade show. Brad Bulla has more on one iconic South Texas business that you don't want to miss.
Believe it or not, this building has been standing on this corner in San Antonio for more than 100 years. And you may not be able to tell from the outside, but a quick step inside proves that Bollner's Meat Market is a business built on high-quality beef.
We started in 1914, 100 years ago. My grandfather started his mercantile store. We used to sell everything. About 1932, my Uncle Dave got out of the Army and started the meat market. And that's how we got in the meat business, about 1932.
Beef is a big part of what we do. You know, this is a family-owned and operated business, and it's been center to the plate and has taken a bunch of the attention of the company. It's what we do.
Bollner's is famed for its quality meat and skilled butchers. At the heart of the business is the pristine display counter, where USDA Prime, Choice, and Akaushi beef is cut to order for customers.
Bollner's has a long-standing reputation for quality and service, and that's one thing we're not going to skimp on. We do a bunch of different style cutting. We're all old-fashioned meat cutters. Here we still break carcasses. We get swinging cattle in here. So by doing that, we're not limited on what we can do. We're not limited to boxed beef. We do a lot of personalized chuck roasts. People say, Joe, I like my chuck roast 2.5 inches. We'll cut a chuck roast at 2.5 inches. If people say, Joe, can I get a prime brisket? Sure, we've got prime briskets. Can you trim my prime briskets? And we say yes. You know, there's a lot of different things that we do that people appreciate. The customers here love what we do. You know, I always tell them, I can give you bad advice, I can give you a bad direction, but I'm not going to give you a bad steak. And we're going to cut them the way you like them, I guarantee you.
It's not just San Antonio families that are fond of Bollner's. The business ships beef to customers all across the U.S. You don't get to stay in business this long without offering a high-quality product. One key lesson they've learned at Bollner's is that good beef starts on the ranch.
Our focus all these years has been on providing quality beef to the customers. And the beef industry has helped us a lot and provided, you know, the better quality meat, and we just try to make it better.
Our focus here is to put the best available product out to our customers at all time. You know, we shop the market, the industry market all the time, and we're always looking for the best quality. By far, we're not price buyers. We want quality for our customers, and we want the best out there all the time. And we have a saying here, we say, we cut them the way you like them. So we're gonna cut a steak, you know, just the way you like it. We're going to prepare and wrap your meat exactly the way you want it.
If you're looking for great beef cuts, a trip to this 4th-generation, family-owned and operated market is definitely in order. The folks at Bollner's are excited that so many members of the cattle industry are coming to San Antonio.
We welcome you with open arms. We love what y'all do for the industry. Hang in there. It's a tough business, and we know it, and we appreciate y'all greatly. The passion and love for what y'all do in the cattle industry shows here. And we need to represent your product, and we are representing your product to our customers.
When you hear somebody tell you, hey, man, that's the best steak I ever had, that's the best brisket I ever had, you know, it just makes you feel good. And it's a living. The cattle industry has been good to us, and the cattlemen have been good to us, and we try to just keep it going and make it better for them.
Reporting from San Antonio, Texas, I'm Brad Bullitt for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
If you'd like to learn more about what's happening with NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, you can find us on Facebook. Be sure to like our page, and we'll keep you updated with photos, details on upcoming shows, and much, much more. And it's a great way to connect with other cattlemen and women across the country. So check us out on Facebook. Don't go away, we've got cowboy poet Baxter Black just ahead.
Saddle up and make your way to Denver, Colorado for the 2015 Cattle Industry Summer Conference. This is your chance to meet with industry leadership and your fellow cattlemen and women to stay up to date on beef industry trends and policies. Registered attendees will also have access to hot topics at the Issues Forums. Mark your calendar for the 2015 Cattle Industry Summer Conference, July 15th through 18th in Denver, Colorado. Find out more at beefusa.org.
Hi there, I'm Joey.
And I'm Rory, and welcome to our farm outside Nashville, Tennessee. When we go to work, whether it's on tour or here at home, we wear the West.
That's right, where it's that perfect snap shirt or that perfect pair of boots. When you wear Roper, you wear the West.
Learn more about us, Joey and Rory, and about Roper Western Wear at eroper.com.
Telling the truth and being real and feeding my family a home-cooked meal, that's important to me. That's important to me. And planting the garden and watching it grow.
Let's face it, you don't think a lot about your trailer hitch. You use it and forget it. We understand. But at B&W, we think about it. Short nights, the long hauls, never-ending chores. The unthinkable. We think about it all, so you don't have to. B&W. Trusted.
If you're not using IMI Global's verification programs, you might as well set your money on fire. To give your wieners added value, no program begins without a traceable animal. Then add on BQA and other specialties, and you open up a whole new market for your calves. You might be thinking, the market's so good, why bother? You ever heard of making hay when the sun shines? You got a choice. Get in the game or visit IMIGlobal.com. I was talking to Okie the other day. He's the farm dog. He doesn't care to go out on the range with the cow dogs. I found him down by the corral one day. He seemed to be pondering. So I asked, what are you thinking about? School, he said. Maybe going to college. Well, that was a new one for me. He never seemed to be the studious kind. Well, what would you major in? Bones, I guess. An anatomy student? Maybe an archaeologist, a musician? No, I was thinking about becoming a chef. Well, have you ever cooked anything, I asked? No, but I've eaten a lot of bones. Well, that's for sure, I said, remembering the thousands of carcass remnants that I've found on the porch. What kind of menu would you have? I mean, a bone's a bone, right? No, not to a bone connoisseur. That's like saying a rope is a rope to a cowboy. When the only caviar you've ever eaten is that fluorescent fish bait, you have a very limited sense of the bountiful taste sensations that await you. Whew, I guess you're right, I conceded. Do you actually have to cook the bone? Well, it can be marinated, you know. Served all slime rosato, sliced into bone dollars. Wow, I said, I had no idea. Ethnic restaurants draw big crowds too. Look at Burger King. Well, that's not ethnic. King?
said Okie. Like the King of England? They dig his bones up and eat them.
Well, that sounds interesting, but where are you going to get a regular source of bones?
I've got a cousin in Miles City, and he said they've dug up thousands of dinosaur skeletons up there.
Well, I looked at Okie. I knew he'd never make it to Montana. He won't even go to the mailbox with me unless I drive him. But I thought to myself, it's nice to know that even good old farm dogs dream big. Kind of like good old farmers. This is Baxter Black. And Okie from out there.
NCBA's mission is essential to the well-being of the cattle industry, and more members means a stronger organization. To find out more and to learn about all the exclusive benefits of being an NCBA member, just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit the website beefusa.org. We're back right after this.
Once upon a time, before backpacks came with rollers and games were canceled due to rain, everyone drank their no-whip, black as a miner's day coffee out of cast iron pots. We didn't cook our meat with self-igniting charcoal. Companies didn't hire praise teams to make sure we got enough pats on the back. You had to earn them. Thankfully, there are still a few of us left who believe in hard work, determination, and guts. Guts, after all, is what brings us great things.
The Peterson Farm Brothers believe all cattlemen and women should take part in the Beef Quality Assurance Program.
Beef Quality Assurance is a beef checkoff funded program that helps educate producers how to provide a more safe, wholesome, and nutritious product for consumers.
BQA encourages proper handling of cattle as well as proper vaccination techniques and much more.
It's very important that we in this industry are providing what consumers want, and that is safe, high quality, wholesome, well-produced beef. We really encourage everyone out there to get BQA certified.
Join the team today at bqa.org.
This year, more than 360 vendors brought displays to the NCBA trade show. Now, coordinating that effort requires months of planning and a few hard days of setup here in San Antonio. Our Cattlemen and Cattlemen cameras captured that work from start to finish with a pretty interesting time-lapse video. Let's have a look. It's time now for this week's Legacy Photos. Let's take a look. Now remember, you can send us your own legacy photos by visiting our website, cattlemantocattleman.org. Include your ranch name, state, and hometown, and we may use them on a future episode. That's our time for this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, which brought you some of our favorite stories from the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show in San Antonio. Next year's convention is in San Diego, and we sure hope we'll see you there. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Thanks for watching. I hope we'll see you next week right here on RFD TV.